Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Prop Live. This is the show that we do every single week where we take your prop and costume making questions and answer them. This week, you've got me and Britt.
Hello!
And we're doing it a day late because I just got back from the Philippines. It was late Monday night when I got back. It's taken a couple days to get up to speed and everything. So yesterday we didn't have a show, but we moved it to today.
Yes.
And it's going to be really fun. We have a bunch of cool things to talk about. And we have a 3D printer running, which you might hear in the background.
That's our special guest.
Special guest
is the 3D printer.
The Dremel 3D printer. Ta-da! And while it's running, everyone, see if you can guess what we'll cut back to it every once in a while. It's going to take like 4 more hours to finish this print. But if you guys can guess what it is, then you get a virtual high five from me.
They're not going to be able to see what it is.
Yeah,
it just looks like it's making a circle.
Yeah. So anyway, that's going on right now. It's going on in the background. I would like to talk about AsiaPOP Con.
Yeah.
I went to the Philippines. This company, AsiaPOP Con, is putting out a handful of shows. The first one was in Manila in the Philippines, and I got to go. Hooray! By my lonesome. No Britt for this one. Although we'll see if we can get you to go to some more of those.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
It was fantastic. It was their first big convention in the area for them. They've had little anime conventions here or there, but this one was like a full-blown Comic-Con. Like they had big-name comic companies there, like Marvel and DC. They had a bunch of really big displays. They had a huge, actually I have to find this.
The Hulkbuster?
They had a Hulkbuster-sized Hulkbuster that you could get in and get your picture taken with.
Not like a quarter scale or anything.
Oh, crap. I know I tweeted about this. I must have put it on Facebook. Let me find a picture about that. But it was really amazing. Like, it was borderline not safe. Like, I don't know if that would have flown in the United States.
Yeah, something you don't consider going to a convention in a different country is their safety rules or things they can get away with can be very different than the U.S.
Yeah.
So you have a giant display that you can climb in.
Why do I not have a picture of this? I'll figure this out. Just a second.
But yeah, it was. You said it was a little rickety to get into.
It was solid,
okay.
But there were no railings going up to it or anything, and it still kind of smelled like fiberglass. APCC. Here we go. I got pictures. To show you guys.
Oh yeah.
That was the very first thing I did. Let's go in there. There it is. Let's see if I can do a real quick thing. Add media. Dropbox photos.
I'm just gonna dance with a 3D printer.
There it is.
You can't not dance along.
Ta-da! There it is.
Yeah.
So that is the Hulkbuster-sized Hulkbuster that I got to go in. That and a whole bunch of other really cool things at AsiaPOP Comicon Manila.
I like how you're in your Shaxx costume in there.
Yes, I was definitely sporting my Shaxx costume while I was being Tony Stark, which was really fun. Among lots of other things. So I hope they do another one. I hope I get to go back again next year. That was amazing.
Looks like we have quite a few people in the chat.
Yeah, we do. That's great.
I see some regulars.
Yeah, if you guys are watching live and this is your first time catching it, if you go over to punishprops.com/live, you'll see how to join the chat. They're right below us here. Always being really, really cool. Awesome people. And I met a bunch of people it always blows me away when I go to like London or like Asia or around the world and people are like, oh, I watch your live show. I'm like, really? That's so cool. You guys are awesome. The 3D printer, we have a project coming up with that. The whole reason why we got it, we're going to be doing a video series alongside Autodesk. Ta-da! Doing some instructional stuff about 3D printing. So that'll be coming up. That's the Dremel one. We just went to Home Depot to buy it.
Yeah.
What was that like, Britt?
It was incredible. Although, like, the guys seemed surprised that we wanted one. Like, they have an end cap display of the 3D printer running, and you can buy the spools there. So if you run out of filament,
bright white, so you can't really see it.
Yeah, so if you run out of filament or want different colors, you can just go buy it at Home Depot. But the guys, they were kind of older. They were like in their 50s. Yeah. They like, you want one of these? We're like, yes.
So we've been playing with it. Britt made a little bit of a ghost shell and a little.
It's bright white though. I can't really tell.
What else? We got a Hearthstone thing here. We've been just sort of playing with it, getting acclimated to it, getting used to the software. But look forward to more of that stuff coming up here pretty soon.
Yes, we'll have videos to help teach you how to model stuff for cosplay items like props and things.
Yeah, what I'm really excited about is teaching people the basics of 3D modeling. Brittany and I both have degrees in 3D computer art and modeling, so we're pretty good at that stuff. The software that's available now versus the software that we had when we were youngsters is night and day. There's so many more options, so many free options. We'll be teaching you guys about that. And then taking your printed pieces and finishing them in a variety of manners to make really nice looking props. That's what I'm really excited about.
Phoenix Survival is wondering how much it cost.
This 3D printer was about $1,000 right out of the box. The great thing about it is, though, it literally, you pulled it out of the box, plugged it in, and then like this little dinosaur head, we just hit print. That's it. It was very plug and play, very easy to just set up.
Yeah, we don't have time to build our own anything anymore. Yeah. So we just need things that work right out of the box.
That thing was really great. What do we have next? Oh, Shaxx and Vex. If you guys missed it, we put a video out.
They're at the back there.
We ran off and did a photo shoot. Actually, I'll show you this. That's a picture that we ended up shooting. We did a photo shoot at the park behind the convention center in Seattle, and while we were there, we shot some video of how we put our costumes on, how it all gets strapped to us. That video we'll link in the show notes, but it's on the YouTube channel if you want to go check that out. And yeah, it's all these two guys here. We have the Vex there. How's the Vex doing?
Great. Well, this one didn't have to go across the world.
Yeah.
So it's holding up a little bit better.
Yeah, Shaxx is doing pretty good too. There's a little wear and tear. There's some tearing right there. I don't know why my armpits were a stress point. But it should be not too bad of a fix to touch it up a little bit. There are some spots that are wearing, but overall it's holding up really well.
We used latex to coat our foam, and this is our first time doing it, that kind of work on big armor pieces. And I noticed some areas where I had latex coated foam that would rub against other latex coated foam. It would rub enough that it would start to wear through. It would wear through the paint, and then if it rubbed enough, it would start to peel back the latex.
Yeah.
We only did a couple coats, though. I don't know if more would have made a difference, or I don't know, or that's just one of the drawbacks of working with it.
We'll figure it out. We'll play with some more latex. I have a giant bucket of it in there, so we'll play with latex some more and start figuring that out a little bit more and share that with you, obviously. We're gonna be taking questions here pretty soon. If you guys are watching live, hit up the Q&A app in the event page so you can throw some questions there. A couple of them showed up, but we could always have more. And we've got some from earlier today that we can start tackling. So should we hop on that?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to go with the first one?
Sure. This is from AYLA Ayla. Ayla. That is a pretty name. I like it. Hey, Bill and Britt. I love your Destiny costume so much that it inspired me to make my own. I'll be making a Lady Shaxx, hopefully for Fan Expo 2016. My question is, how did you make the horns for Lord Shaxx? Also, how did you attach them to the helmet?
Ooh, that's good.
Grab right behind you.
Yeah, I'll grab the helmet.
I like the idea of a Lady Shaxx. I think that's great. I kind of want to make a sexy crypt arc. I think that'd be pretty good.
So here's my Shaxx hat, and the horns actually come right off. So this is EVA foam floor mats. I cut a slot into it, and then I put a plastic slot on the end of it, and this just friction fits in.
So it's like a plug, but it's a tight fitting one. You have to wiggle it in there.
Yeah. And that holds it in place really well. And I can take it off if I'm transporting it like that. Boop. Yeah. The horns I made a 3D model of the horns, and then I printed out a Pepakura file of these horns in sort of like long strips. And then that Pepakura I transferred to thin craft foam, the 2mm craft foam, and glued that together using contact cement along the edges to get the rough shape of this horn, which actually worked out better than I thought.
Yeah.
And then I filled it with an expanding polyurethane foam, and that made it more rigid and solid. And then the whole thing got coated in latex, just like everything else. The bands here were done in more of that thin foam. I just wrapped strips of it around. You could do something similar if you don't want to do the Pepakura route. You could just carve this basic shape out of some more of that foam, like insulation foam. You could just glue some layers together and carve the shape out, and then coat it in latex or a number of different ways. That's the basic process there for the Shaxx horn.
I know the last half of your process was on our 16-hour live stream video. Yeah. You did the expanding foam and showed some stuff on it.
Oh, cool, yeah.
But also, it's the same process we used for our Skyrim horns. We just used Warbler on top of them to get that organic look instead of the craft foam.
Yep.
And you can see so well out of that. Everyone wonders how well Bill can see.
Tiny little hole in there to see out of.
It's really a kind of thing, though, where it's like if we did devise a system where you could see better, you still don't want to wear it for more than a couple seconds because it's an oven. It gets
really warm.
There's no vents and there's no airflow, so it's not the best to wear for more than a minute anyway.
No, yeah. So I just wear it and then pop it up on my head, and talk to people, and then when someone wants a photo, I just plunk it down.
Yeah.
So there you go, a couple of different ways. Oh, also, Evil Ted has a video on making horns from foam. Probably want to link to that as well. So Evil Ted's YouTube channel has a horn tutorial video as well. All right.
Bill will not be at New York City Comic-Con this year.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah. Second Nature Effects says, Bill has the short Punish Props guest chair. Yes, I do. But when I'm next to Britt, I always have the short chair. All right. This next question here comes from Wayward Wanderer in the Q&A app. Let's see here. Yay, finally able to make the prop live because I'm usually working. Oh, cool. Well, it's a good thing we did it on Friday today. I just wanted to ask if I will be, I'm working on a Vault Dweller costume. One thing I want to make is the Vault Dweller belt. Just wondering if you have any advice for making it. Let's look up a reference image here.
I don't remember what their belt looks like. I just remember the jumpsuit and the, Pip-Boy.
Yeah. Oh, there's some stuff here. I'm gonna pop over to this. Here we go. This looks like the kind of the basic idea behind it.
Yeah. Oh, someone else already made one. How handy.
Yeah. I'll tell you how I would do it. You're gonna be surprised. I would make it out of foam.
What thickness?
I'd start off by getting a 2-inch wide nylon webbing strap to use as the actual belt. You can get a 2-inch wide plastic buckle to actually attach it. And then all those little pieces could be cut out of craft foam and then glued down to your nylon webbing strap. Hot glue would work just fine to glue them down. And then you could take the buckle part of it and glue that over the top of your buckle so that you obscure it. You don't see that plastic buckle, and then you'd be able to snap it on and off.
Yeah. And then just use a thinner foam for the detailing on the center point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I saw a picture on one of the Google search ones. It looked like someone did a template.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, just like kind of sketch out your template and then transfer it to foam.
Yep. That would work really well.
Yeah. Make sure it fits before you apply all the foam. Like make sure it's big enough.
Make sure the nylon webbing is all the right size.
Yeah.
And if you want to get really creative, you could make it so that you could resize it using slides. Then it gets kind of tricky where you have to hide those sizing mechanics behind more foam. But you can do it. You can definitely do it. It's very similar to how I made the belt for my Commander Shepard outfit. Awesome. So good luck with your belt. That was from Wayward Wanderer. Got another one, Britt?
Sure. Let's see. We got from Mike. Awesome job on the builds, you two.
Whee!
He saw them at PAX, and they're fantastic.
Oh, cool.
I was digging through the Foamsmith books again. Anyone out there not have it? Get it!
That's right.
Thank you. And also some of your videos. I couldn't remember what you sealed your painted foam with. I know Evil Ted likes floor wax. What do you guys like to use? So what did we use for our Vex and Shaxx?
So the paint on these are Angelus paints. We'll have to link to the Angelus website.
Yeah.
Angelus are acrylic paints made for leather, and they are really, really flexible and fairly durable paints. We have a leather working store here called McPherson's Leather. So Mike, I know, is local. Go to McPherson's and check out their amazing selection of paints that Angelus has. They also make their own sealant for the paint. They have a matte and a gloss, and
I love this one so much. Look at that.
That's the bronze paint.
Yeah, metallic.
And then did you put the matte finish over that?
I put the gloss on it.
That's the gloss. And so it's not super duper glossy.
Well, I think it's this still has a teeny little bit of a texture to it.
Yeah.
The latex isn't super smooth, but you can't tell. So I knew it wouldn't be too glossy. But I love that this color was perfect for the Vex.
Oh yeah, you get a really nice metallic shine out of that.
Yeah. But I don't know, like something I did, it was either with the metallic paint or the gloss I put over it. I did this all in like a day too. I didn't give it much time to dry. It stayed tacky for quite a while. And I think they said that in the directions, if you apply it too thick, it stays tacky for longer. But we were using a giant critter spray gun.
Yeah, just sort of blasting it.
You couldn't really just apply a little. So, but I like their colors. The paint's kind of rubbing off on mine though. I didn't have time to weather it, so now it kind of looks battle damaged because the foam underneath is gray. We didn't tint the latex, so that would have been a better way to hide it, I guess. But
next time. We'll do that next time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use Angelus paints again for that process. I really like how flexible they are, but I need a better way to seal it.
Yeah, I wanna play with some other different types of finishes for the rubber. I have some of that floor wax stuff that Ted likes. I'll have to test some of that too next time I seal stuff.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Bottle of it.
Yeah, there's the name of the floor wax changed, so we'll link to the new name because I think Ted refers to
it's like Future Floor Finish or something like that.
Yeah, he's been using it so long that they've changed, kind of like rebranded it.
All right. Thank you. That was from Mike. Thank you for the question. This next one comes from our buddy Sam, who was just on the show. Sam wants to know, I was wondering about the title of cosplay versus props in one's page name, website, business, etc. Have you seen or experienced any negative connotations from having one versus the other? See, he has a part 2. For example, do those with props have trouble becoming cosplay guests at cons? Do those with cosplay have trouble marketing themselves from a business standpoint? I've seen some sort of some of this on the RPF from time to time. So I didn't really put a lot of thought into it when I originally made Punished Props. I like the alliteration, but when it comes to coming up with a name for whatever it is your thing is, remember that your actions, your behavior is going to dictate your brand more than whatever you title it. So for example, Starbucks. The word Starbucks doesn't mean coffee. It doesn't mean anything. But everyone associates the word Starbucks with coffee, with, being super cool coffee person. Same thing with another one, same company, or the same people did it, but the Red Hook Brewery. Red Hook doesn't mean anything, but people know that means beer because they've spent years and years developing that brand. So with your page, like Bio Cosplay means whatever your actions are developed over a long period of time.
Yep. Yeah, I think the word cosplay, I think, has a stigma against some of the older generation industry filmmakers. And they're not the ones who are going to be getting you a guest appearance at a convention. So who cares what they think?
Yeah.
And especially in other countries, the term cosplay is much more common. Like the United States is still a little bit behind.
I will say, though, when I'm trying to sell myself as like a guest at a convention or something, a lot of times they will have programming at a convention that is specific to cosplay. And I want to be a part of that. But if I'm looking for a way to separate myself from the crowd, I sell myself as a prop maker, as an instructor, on my YouTube videos. Like, there are parts of my brand that separate me from the crowd. So when I'm trying to sell myself as a unique, valuable person to have at an event, I try and steer away from generic terms, general terms, and cosplay tends to be kind of generic. So that's what I usually do. Yeah. For an AsiaPOP Comicon, I was sold as prop and costume maker, as opposed to just cosplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Sam from Bio Cosplay. Something else too, if you're developing a brand early on and you still have some sway, like for me, I can't really change Punish Props, like that name, I'm kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, too late.
You may consider going with something like the word creative or fabrication, or like focus, if you're coming up with a name, focus on the act of making things, right? Like good example, this guy I know, Fawn Davis, he runs a company called Fonco Creative. Because his name is Fawn, so he calls it Fonco, and his company is called Fonco Creative Services. So what does that mean? Well, people in the industry know what Fonco does because he's developed a brand over years and years. But it's just, look, productions, design, fabrication, instruction. Creative, the term creative encompasses all of that.
Yeah.
So if you do have an opportunity to sort of put a label on whatever it is your page or company does early on, I say go for it. Go with something that doesn't pigeonhole you right away. There you go.
How is our special guest doing?
Let's check in on our special guest, the 3D printer.
Oh, still
plugging away. If anyone can guess what that is, then you get a virtual high five from me.
We would have to zoom in on it, and plus it's bright white. We got some it's like a gray silver filament we bought when we were at Home Depot. I'm curious what that'll look like on the camera.
Try it out.
Yeah.
Valor Props is claiming that Starbucks is actually a literary reference to Moby Dick. Moby Dick, Starbuck. Starbuck in Moby Dick, is that a character? I'll be honest, I've never read Moby Dick. But cool. But as far as what Starbucks has to do with coffee, absolutely nothing. Until they made it about coffee.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like that with any kind of brands that you know, and it's kind of neat. Well, what was that book we read? The brand book? The
Origin of Brands.
Yeah.
They sort of make it like the origin of species, the idea of evolution in nature versus the evolution in brands.
It's neat though, because after you kind of read that stuff, you look at the world differently. You look at brands differently, and it's kind of neat to see through that a little bit. Yeah,
Sam, go look up The Origin of Brands. It's a good book. All right, you got another question over here?
I do, from one of our regulars, Lee Frazier.
Hello, Lee.
What are some tips for cleaning your foam props for paint? I feel like I can never get all of the dust off with a brush.
What do you use, Britt?
Air compressor.
Yeah. If you don't have an air compressor, then go buy one. Duh. We'll link to a
small one.
Yeah, you can get a small one for fairly cheap. We'll put a link to one in the show notes.
Yeah, they are a bit loud. Unless you get. I guess we can link the one we have because ours is pretty quiet.
Yeah, we spent a little bit more on ours. We got a nice DeWalt one that's a little bit quieter. I had an old one that I got for like $60 though at Lowe's on a Black Friday deal that lasted for years. That thing was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's the best way to get rid of that stuff, especially if anything has like a static charge to it. Like the dust will just come right back. But if you use an air compressor, it gets it all off. You can get those cans of compressed air for like cleaning off your computer. Those are worth getting too if you want to just get a solution right now. Just can't. Well, and we'll link to those cans of compressed air for sure. So there's a couple of solutions for you right there. But anyway, blasting it with air to get and like go outside and do it so the dust goes away, and then you'll be good to go. Joseph's in the Q&A thing says he has a multi-part question that might have gotten mixed up. Just so you know.
Yeah. Oh, I see that. Yeah.
And it's like you don't realize it, but after you do your questions, if you do it in parts, it starts to separate because if someone thumbs up just one part, it's bumped to the top.
Here, let's grab this one from William. He got a commission to make original Goldar armor for a Power Rangers fan film. That sounds awesome. I decided to make the armor out of foam. I'm planning on using Plastidip, but I need gold, and there are no stores there. Where's a good place to order something? You want to tackle that one, Britt?
Dipyourcar.com. I love those guys. I also love Goldar. He's the blue monkey guy with the gold armor. He's a really cool character.
I'm gonna grab this whole question together.
Yeah.
You can keep going with that.
So, Dip Your Car, those guys have some kind of relationship with Plastidip, because they have the ability to not only sell Plastidip products, but sell them without an overhead, kind of. So they're actually on par with the price on Amazon. But Dip Your Car also has the ability to make their own colors. And since they use it for car paint, they have two kinds of metallic paints. One has like sparkles in it, and the other one looks more like a normal metal. So you have to be careful which one you get, unless you want sparkly car-like paint. My She-Ra armor was the antique gold from them, and that had Goldar I think would be a little more yellowy, but for She-Ra armor it was perfect. But I don't know if you head over there.
Dip Your Car.
Yeah, dipyourcar.com. It's their website's just fun to look around. You can just buy the powders if you want. I'm tempted to do another order from them. They're in like Florida too, so their shipping isn't too bad. Go pink. So if you go to the top and colors, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, so they have, and you can even get like giant like paint can size things, but then you need a special sprayer because they have YouTube videos, so they'll teach you how to properly spray Plastidip. They do huge applications, like an entire car, and then you can peel it off later and do a different color. That's why it's so popular right now. So you can temporarily change your car to pink, and then peel it off. So yeah, I love those guys, and their videos are great. Like one of them's super muscly, and so it like shows him spraying, and all the YouTube comments are talking about his muscles instead of about the process, because they're all like, yeah, we're car guys, but they, I don't know, they're awesome.
Dipyourcar.com. Yeah. We'll link to those in the old show notes there. A quick one from the chat. CZ Cosplay is starting a craft supply business, and it says, how do you get over that fear of failure when you started Punished Props? I didn't know any better. That's really like ignorance. Like I didn't even consider the fact that I could fail. I just went for it, and I did fail. Like it was, running your business is a string of failures until you start to succeed. It just happens. That's learning to run a business, is failing and then saying, well, I'm never doing that again, which was like the first year and a half of my business was me going, I tried that, never do that again. Try that, never do that again.
Yeah, if you're on the outside looking at someone else's business, you only see the successes. Mm-hmm. For every success they do, there's probably more failures.
Yeah, like the more you try something, your success rate and failure rate kind of go up in tandem.
Yeah, it's like if there's a graph, they both go together.
But your successes, go up in percentage as well, which makes it appear that you are flawless and that you're really good at what you do.
And just keep trying. It's one of those things where if it's something you're really not into and you try it and it fails, you're just like, oh, whatever, and you don't try anything else. But if you're really passionate about it, you keep trying things.
Yeah. You
just don't give up.
But as far as like getting over that fear, I never even considered that this wouldn't work. I just didn't even think about it. I just knew that was the next thing I had to do in my life. And I had to give it my best shot. So that's what I did.
Take it one day at a time and work really, really hard.
All right, this one here is from Joseph Valentin.
Oh, this might be the multiple part one.
Yeah, I tried to string it together.
All right.
Let's see here. Before I use Plastidip, but sometimes even if I prime it with Mod Podge and had a rough sand paper, which made no finish. Let's see. I even heat up the can to spray smoothly, but with no luck. Yeah, it's really tricky to get a super smooth finish with your Plastidip. Let me grab my helmet.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well.
So this is my Shaxx helmet, and it was sealed with Plastidip, and It's kind of hard to tell on camera there, but there's still a bit of a texture there. You're not going to get a super smooth finish with Plastidip. It's convenient. The major benefit of Plastidip is that it's super convenient.
It's almost like whatever surface you have, if there's crevices or if there's like a cat hair on it, it will create a perfectly even coat over everything. So it'll make the cat hair twice as thick and it won't fill in the crevices.
Yeah.
So for that part, it's awesome because if you don't want your little details to go away, but it doesn't self-level like some PVA glues do.
Yeah.
That kind of. I heard that FlexBond is really good at that. I was doing some research on it. We still haven't ordered it yet. It's a kind of material you can only find at like a theater.
Yeah, theater supply stuff.
Yeah.
The armor, on the other hand, I sprayed with latex, and after adding a few layers of that leveled out a lot better. So the armor actually has a bit more of a shine than the helmet, and you can see the texture is much smoother. Now you can't sand it at all; it's rubber, but it did smooth out a little bit more. Let's see here. Joseph says that he tried a method where he mixed acrylic paint, acrylic latex caulking, Mod Podge, and water. And the bonus is that it's both flexible and sandable. That's really cool. He said it worked, but it takes way too long.
Yeah, that's why I think something like FlexBond, it's kind of described as like a PVA glue, but it's flexible. So I'm guessing it's some of that mixed together.
Yeah.
But it's already in a giant jug you buy, so you don't have to worry about it.
The benefit you get with Plastidip is that it's convenient and quick.
Yeah.
Your method sounds really good. You say it takes a long time, but that's just the price you pay for the finish that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the question there. There we go. Took care of that. Let's grab another one. This one is from Thomas. And Thomas wants to know, Thomas is prepping for first convention this October. Was wondering if we have any tips on what to bring. Also, we'll be taking a full-size 70-inch beam rifle from Halo. Holy crap. Do you have any tips on how to transport that? It really depends if you're driving or flying. If you're flying, then you've got to check that. Which means a lot of times, like, we'll build props specifically so they fit in our crates. We have these crates. There's one hiding right over there. Those are our flying crates, so we build our props to either fit in there or to break down so they fit in there, like your She-Ra sword.
One of our friends made a big axe that she used at PAX, but also flew to DragonCon with it. So when she was designing it, she took her crate and measured it before she even started the build to see where it would break down. It had a unscrew thing at the head of it, so it came apart into two pieces, but a 70-inch rifle. Apart into three.
You're going to have to split that up into several pieces and design the prop so that it'll fit in your luggage.
Yeah.
If you're driving, then you have some more options. You have a little more room in the car to bring it there. Let's see here. His other part of his question says, any tips on what to bring to a convention? A bottle opener. That's vital. Make sure you always have a bottle opener in your cosplay repair kit.
Yeah, one of those like wine bottle opener things that has them all in there, because like we don't drink wine at conventions, but one person showed up that needed it, and it was like we were their heroes. So we usually just have a little kit that we don't touch unless we take it to a convention, so it has everything in there we already need. So like zip ties. I think we have a video on that.
I think we do have a video, but for the most part, some kind of glue. So super glue is a good thing to keep.
I love hot glue. I tend to use that the
most.
Hot
glue, yeah. Hot glue is really handy at a convention. You can get a really small hot glue gun, and then the zip ties you mentioned.
Yeah, those are great to have on you because when you're on the floor, you just want to make sure things, like if something falls off, just to put it back on. You don't care if it looks perfect. You just want it on you. So
I've done that before. Parts of my Draugr armor are like, good example. The chest part, the Velcro was ripping off of the foam. It's old. That armor's been around forever. Mm-hmm. So in the moment, I just took some zip ties and punched them through the Velcro, through the foam, and just zip tied it down, just to just barely hold it together. But it worked, and I can go back and fix it for real later. But I needed it in the moment. I just zip tied it together. Use if you can get like black zip ties, or you can get it in different colors, stuff that'll blend in well with your costume. but also things like holding your badge onto your costume. We do this all the time.
Yeah, we don't, especially when you're in a costume, we can't see very well. A lot of the badges just clip on, like with a alligator clip, and it's like, well, then it could fall off or someone could grab it. So zip ties are great for that. Permanently attach it, and just at the end of the day or when you switch costumes, you can cut it off. And
so we just we have like a couple dozen zip ties on us all the time for lots of different reasons, and a bottle opener. Thank you, Thomas, for your question. See, let's check in on the old project there. See how it's going. Anyone guess? Anyone guess on what it is?
I don't know if anyone's guessed at all. I haven't really paid attention to the chat, but also no one's gonna guess.
No, it's a pretty generic looking shape at this point.
Until it gets to the top, they might notice.
We'll see how it goes. CZ Cosplay is actually planning on selling an emergency cosplay repair kit in his new store that he's putting together. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. All
right, this next question comes from Matt. He says, I made my first venture in making a foam prop, the Destiny knife. Yay! I think it went okay, but I'm unhappy with the finish. It has a very rough texture where it was sanded. Is there any way of smoothing this out?
I noticed a couple of people have been talking about that, about how they'll sand their foam and end up with that kind of like pilled look to it.
Yep.
Yeah, and for me, I get that when I use a really high grit. Is that where the number's really low on it? So like
80 grit is going to leave you with a rough texture on it. So 220 or higher. We have a belt sander and a disc sander. Those are at like 80 or 120 grit, which is kind of low, kind of rough. We also have a spindle sander, and that has 220 on it. So if you can get a powered like spinning sanding tool with a high grit, like 220 or higher, that'll help you out a lot. I know that Evil Ted likes to use sanding sticks at progressively higher grits, up to 400, I think, to get a smoother finish. It's not going to be the same as sanding wood or plastic because the foam kind of pulls a bit. Yeah. But you can get it fairly smooth. If you are really concerned about the finish on it, especially for a prop like that, you could coat it in something like Epsilon, which is an epoxy resin that will become rigid, and then you can sand it like anything else.
Yeah, for just the normal foam floor mats, having a sanding block of 220 worked great. When I was using the L200, that's like squishier density, and I had a lot of trouble getting that smoother. Yeah. That's what I used for my gun.
Valor Props in the chat points out using a blowtorch. Yeah, you can heat seal it with a blowtorch. That's another thing that Evil Ted likes to do. Only after you've done all of that sanding, hit it with a blowtorch, and that'll kind of crimp everything in a little bit.
I was afraid to do that with mine because it was a bunch of. We just had so much of that L200 lying around. I had a whole bunch sandwiched together, and I didn't want the blowtorch to separate the layers, but. No.
Oh, this is a cool idea. Phoenix Revival points out they found a YouTube video where someone did that sanding with a Dremel bit, with the sanding bit without a sanding disc on it or a sanding drum on it, just the rubber.
Okay.
That's similar. I end up using a grinding bit that's really old. So I have this aluminum oxide grinding bit that's old, and there's almost no texture left on it. But instead of sanding it, it almost kind of melts the finish on it.
Yeah.
So that's another good way to do that.
No, that makes sense.
I wonder.
We have those sanding blocks that are just rubber.
We do, but we also have. You need for the rubber thing to work. You need the speed. We have those sanding drums. They're really wide sanding drums that are rubber that you put a drum on. I wonder if we just use that in the drill press. If that would do something.
Try that. Yeah, we use them in the drill press normally with a sanding drum.
We can even do that with the spindle sander. Spindle sander has the same thing as a chunk of rubber that the sanding drum sits on.
I like that Phoenix Revival. We're gonna have to try that out.
Yeah, I'll have to try that out for sure. So there you go. There's some things for you to try out, Matt. Good luck. Alrighty, this next one comes from our buddy Kevin. Hey Kevin, how's it going? Kevin wants to know, aside from the obvious location differences, were there any huge differences between AsiaPOP Comicon and the American conventions? I can say that the climate was very similar to Atlanta. It was very warm and very humid, and it rained every single afternoon, like crazy downpour, just like Atlanta. But as far as the convention is concerned, I think that they were trying really hard to make it very similar to your bigger Comic-Con type experiences. They had a lot of the same things. A big convention space. We had a guest area where like my booth and a bunch of other people had their booths. They had one big stage with panels. I will say they put on a great show. Like they put on a huge like spectacle type show. It felt great for me because I'd go up there and they'd be like, Bill Durant's here, and like the stage would erupt with like animation in my name, and it would be like ba ba da 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 da, like crazy music, and I would walk out like a total boss.
It's nice to feel appreciated.
Yeah, I felt it's the first time I've really actually felt like a celebrity at a convention. They went above and beyond. I will say that the fans there were extremely enthusiastic, really excited to meet everyone, really excited to talk about making things. It was cool, but it was, and I think it was their goal to make it feel kind of like American conventions.
I'm curious how it'll be next year. Now that people, because all the local people didn't have any expectations, they know what to expect.
Yeah,
and word spreads with that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think word's going to spread like crazy. Here's a good example, and I've noticed this with a lot of international conventions. For the costume contest, they put a lot of emphasis on the performance. So, for example, at Emerald City Comic-Con this last year, the criteria for judging the costume contest was almost entirely technique-based, like how good you executed the build. For this one, 40% of it was performance. So they put a lot of thought and what am I thinking of? A lot of planning into their performance. So there was a lot of spectacle, a lot of theatrics, a lot of moving parts and lights and stuff that was geared to impressing an audience.
Yeah, like for the BlizzCon costume contest, it's straight up. You're judged before you walk the stage.
Yeah.
You can have a costume where you can barely move as long as you can navigate stairs, I think is the rule now.
Yeah.
But like you don't have to lift your arms, you don't have to do anything, you just have to look cool. But for these performance ones, you actually have to be mobile and do something interesting for the judges, which sounds pretty crazy. I don't know if I'd want to take part in that.
It's a lot of work. I will tell you that. And the people who won that costume contest did all of those things. They put a lot of time and effort into the construction, and just as much time and effort went into planning and practicing their performances and then executing them really well.
It's almost like you'd want to start your costume build with a performance already in mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin, we saw Kevin at Dragon Con. He's a cool guy. I like that Kevin guy. Let's see here. Let's grab another question. This one comes from Fernie B. Hey guys, how would you guys tackle molding and casting a great sword made from Pepakura? I'm worried about weight in the final piece. It's still not molded, so I can make adjustments if I need to. I would definitely look into making a matrix mold for something that big, for sure. I did a video on matrix molding for the District 9 rifle.
Yeah.
Sounds right. And look into some more.
I'll link to Volpin Props's.
Yeah, definitely look to Harrison's. It's going to be a little.
We just
bit more,
followed. He's done a couple. He's done a couple very large prop matrix molds. One of them was a giant staff.
Yeah, the bonus there is you'll have a better mold and you'll use less silicone when you're building it. So definitely put in the time to make a matrix mold for something like that. As far as casting it is concerned, you're right. It's got to be big. It's got to be heavy. You can get stuff to add to your resin, like I think they call them like micro balloons or like little filler pieces.
The things you're not supposed to breathe in.
Yeah, that will cut down on the weight. So what you can do is slush cast a couple layers of normal urethane resin, like Smooth Cast 300, to make a skin on the outermost part of the mold. Then close it up, mix up another batch of resin with those micro balloons in them, and fill it up, and that will help you take some of the weight away. I
know some people will do the normal resin on each side of your 2-part mold, and then maybe like the micro balloon layer, but then just like brush that in like you were doing with the newest District 9.
Yeah.
We're still trying to make the District 9 gun light, but that one worked pretty well. But instead of leaving it hollow, you use expanding foam to fill it up to give it, like, so it doesn't become crushable. but I don't know if that would work with a sword because the swords are so thin already.
There's stuff you can do with like you can backfill it with lots of different stuff, like urethane, foam, like expanding foam, or a bunch of different stuff. We got a link here from. Oh, thank you for the question from Ferdy B. There. You are going to have to do a lot of experimenting. To really
the first one is going to end up too heavy, no matter what you do, because you're like, oh, it'll never be strong enough, and then usually you can cut back on a lot of the resin.
So Twisted in the chat just finished this Titan helmet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so this is the Titan helmet. That looks pretty good. It looks like you're going to be just as blind as me. And it looks like you built it from Pepakura there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The Armada Type 3.
Yeah, I like one. That one has the thigh pieces that match with it. It have like blades on them too.
Yeah.
Like it looks really cool.
Cool. That looks pretty good. You have a really great start there. I'm impressed. I also know you're not going to be able to see. Here you can see some of the earlier shapes.
Yeah.
There. Cool. Very similar. It looks very, very similar to the one I did.
Yeah, those are great shapes too.
Yeah, neat. Well done, sir. Keep it going. Let's see here. Another question. This one comes from William. William says, have you guys ever worked with leather? Me and my shopmate are making full Dawn Guard heavy armor from Skyrim and wanted to make both sets of armor out of leather and thin steel.
Nice.
I'm going to recommend against using actual steel because it's hard to work with. Unless you have, if you already have all the tools you need to work with metal, go for it. But I know I'm familiar with that armor, and there's a lot of little like rounded rectangular pieces, and if you had to cut those all out of steel, that would be a pain in the ass. You could just cut them out of sheet plastic like Sintra, and then paint it to look like metal. And then the leather, we've done some leather working, and it's one of those things that's usually hard to beat the genuine article. Just use actual leather.
Yeah, and it it lasts really long time. That's the reason why a lot of people make clothes out of leather and it gets a nice kind of worn look to it.
Yeah.
I was thinking Fev Studios. That's Lee's Facebook thing, right? Yeah. So Fev does a lot of leather work, especially she has in the past for a lot of Assassin's Creed work. And for her templates, she tends to use like a 2mm or 3mm craft foam and makes the whole piece and then uses that as a template for the leather. Since the craft foam kind of reacts the same, it has the same kind of stretchiness and flexibility, but then she makes it out of leather and it looks awesome and you don't have to paint it because it already looks great.
Yeah.
And then you don't waste the expensive leather that way.
Exactly. And leather can be used like it always has been functionally. You don't need to support it with anything. You can just make leather straps. If you go over to Facebook and look up Two Story Props, you'll see they did some super awesome Dawn Guard armor over there. So you want to go check out their build. And if you have any specific questions to that build, you can ask them for sure. But those guys freaking crushed it with their costume, their Dawn Guard costume.
And I also think they did a funny one having to do with gathering thistles.
Yeah, they did a really fun photo shoot with those.
Good stuff.
Totally. Those guys are great. That was from William. There you go. Another one here from let's see. This one is from.
He said sorry for the double post.
What was that?
The one that was double posted.
Oh.
Like sorry.
This one's from Sean. Any tips for a first-time builder when it comes to the first set of armor? What patterns to start on?
Or what parts to start on?
Parts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I usually go with like if you want something simple to sort of get the idea, like your forum. Here, I'll grab my forum.
Yeah, forum's a great idea.
Because it's for the most part, it's just a tube that my arm goes in. This particular one, there's a seam down the back, and there's a seam down the top, although it's been obscured by the rest of it. But it's just two pieces of foam that were glued together to make a tube. So you can. It's not a lot of foam, and you can play with it to try a lot of different techniques to try and get it just right. So this is a really great place to start. Make yourself a forearm piece. And I like to make mine. They just go all the way around my arm. I put a little foam in there, and I can just jam it on my arm.
That's the like upholstery foam, like the really squishy stuff in there.
Upholstery foam in there.
Yeah, we just get that in big sheets, and use it and like to fit helmets and gauntlets.
Yeah.
I use it to raise up my whole Vex torso. Just put squishy foam on my shoulders and my back. But yeah, that's it. I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and then if you're looking to take the next step, maybe try a helmet, like my Shaxx hat right there. Helmets are great because even if you don't make the rest of the costume, at least you have a helmet done and you can put that up on your mantle. Be like, oh, there's the thing I made. Or your head, where it's got her Vex head, which we're gonna mount on the wall like our kill. Like I took down a Vex and then I'm gonna mount it on the wall. There you go. Ta-da.
I can totally see.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go, Sean. Good luck on your first build there. Let's see here. We have another one from Joseph. He says, I just bought an Iwata mini spray gun with a 1.2 millimeter spray cap. How is the atomization on the critter gun in comparison to spray guns? He plans to spray Monster Maker's latex over the foam, but I want to have a super smooth finish. The critter is awesome for latex, but it is a shotgun. It just blasts a lot of material out there. You're not going to get a super smooth like paint finish on it the way you might get from like an airbrush or from a detail sprayer, but it gets the job done. It gets a lot of material out there.
Super easy to clean too.
Yeah, and it's really easy. That's really the best benefit.
Yeah. It's just a tube. So like if latex starts drying in the tube, you just pull it out.
Yeah, you can just snake it out.
Yeah, it is a giant blast of stuff coming out of it.
So doing fine detail type stuff, I wouldn't use the critter, but for spraying latex, it's really, really hard to beat. For sure, which it looks like that's what your plan is. But what like most things, I'm going to end up with, like we have, I think now 3 airbrushes, and I have like 4 more I want to buy. I have a detail spraying gun, I have a normal like HVLP sprayer, and I have that critter. I have a different one for every job because different jobs demand different tools. So you'll just end up trying them all. We ended up using that critter sprayer for the paint on these costumes just because we didn't have to thin the acrylic paint. It just blasted it out there. And a lot of this was just flat colors. So for like the bronze on this, we just put the bronze paint in the critter and just covered the whole thing. And it worked out great.
This helmet smells like Dragon Con.
Does it?
Yeah, has latex and Dragon Con.
What does Dragon Con smell like?
I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's what our Skyrim suits smell like too.
Let's see here. We have another one from Joseph. He put a link there. Let me see. I'm not sure what the question is. I do several. I only have half the question there, but well, let's check in with our thing there. It's basically the same thing, only a little bit bigger.
Yeah, we're still experimenting with a 3D printer, seeing what it's capable of, and seeing where we have to think about modeling differently. We're used to making polygon models for like video games and movie characters. We're not used to having to figure out how to make them exist in the real world with the way that it does the lattice work and the breaking of different parts so it can print easier and faster. So we're learning a lot.
Yeah.
Have a couple failed prints.
That's fine. I imagine we will have lots of failed prints.
But it's great though because it can work on that while we do other things.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're wasting our time on it.
Well, I like the thing I'm excited about most of the 3D printer is that we can like this is basically a test print. Once it's done, I'll analyze how it turned out, and I'm probably I already know how I'm gonna do it differently for the next time I print it. So for example, that I misjudged the size on it, and it was too tall for the print space that this printer can do. So for the next time I'll do it, I'll break it into 2 pieces and print them out separately, and then come and design it so those 2 pieces socket into one another, and then I'll just glue it together. And then I'll also hollow some parts out so it uses less material, because this piece is going to be molded. It doesn't matter what the inside looks like. That's about it. We have one more question, but I don't know what the question is. Joseph, I think, is asking about magnets and straps and stuff. When I am doing straps for my armor, if it's load bearing, I use a strap. So like my torso piece and my shoulders and everything, like your Vex thing there's a series of straps under here that that you attach to your torso before the armor goes on, and the armor all gets Velcroed to it. Yeah,
for torso pieces, I like Velcro and those really heavy duty buckles and snaps. Magnets, just if there's any kind of pressure on them, they're going to pop apart and then pop back together. So if you're like breathing or turning your body, so it's tempting to want to use magnets on those, but I would rather have something more permanent and adjustable too. Those if you have nylon webbing straps under all of your armor, you can adjust it.
Yep, put slides on them.
Yeah, so if halfway through the day you realize it's too tight, you can loosen it.
This next question here comes from Valor Props about 3D printing, and specifically, are you using NetFab or anything to slice your files yet? Right now, we've used 123D Design to model the pieces, and then that goes to Mesh Mixer, right, to set up the 3D thing.
Yeah, there's a button right in 123D Design that just says 3D print, and then it opens up their other free program called Mesh Mixer.
Right. The reason we're using all of this software because A, it's free, and B, we're working with Autodesk, and that's all their stuff. And then it goes to Dremel, which has their own software to set it up for this printer, and that does the slicing, and which is cool because you can tell it high, medium, or low quality, and you can send it off to an SD card. We put it on an SD card, put it into the printer, and just tell it to go. Yeah,
we'll have to do more research because I don't think it does slice for you. Like if you
what it's doing when it makes up the path.
Well, like if you put in a thing that's too big, it won't cut it in half for you.
That's not slicing.
Oh, I thought slicing meant cut it into pieces.
No.
Never mind. Yeah. Oh, slicing to turn into little steps.
Yep.
You
guys will. Trust me, we're going to have a whole video series all about this.
I'm so excited to learn all this.
Yeah, we're learning as it goes. That's why we're doing all these test prints and really doing it for you guys. Thank you, Valor Props. Let's see if we can grab one more question here, then we will get the crap out of here. All right. This one is from Thomas. I made a Halo Reach style armor with EVA foam, and the chest piece turned out kind of bland. Do you have any tips on how to make it pop a bit? Just to bring out some detail. Also, do you have any tips on diffusing LEDs? Do we ever?
Yeah, we do.
So for the LED thing, shining an LED through something that is perfectly transparent won't diffuse it at all. So you need to add something that is translucent, like a thin piece of plastic that is frosted. You can buy sheets of plastic at craft stores that are like the stuff they use for making like stencils, is like a white-ish looking sort of frosted looking plastic. That'll help diffuse your lights. Getting your light away from the surface that you're diffusing it with will diffuse it even more.
The juice box back there is the LEDs are all along the outside of it, pointed in. And Bill put a metallic tape on the back of the surface, and the plastic on the front surface I just used an acrylic, and I sanded it to rough it up a bit.
Yeah, if you have some sort of plastic surface that you're shining your lights through, sanding it is the first step you can take to diffusing it.
Yeah, but it's just something you're gonna have to try out if you take like a little cheap like pre-made LED thing and hold it up to things and hold it at different angles, and you'll kind of, after some trial and error, figure out which one will work best for the room you have.
Yeah.
I think for your shepherd army, you didn't have much room to work with for the little teeny little lights.
I just had a little piece of acrylic.
Yeah, it was
white acrylic.
Yeah. So it's the kind of thing where you need a really bright light to be able to see through it, but it diffuses it like crazy. So
the other question was how to make your armor pop. That's where weathering really comes into play. Actually, someone was asking about this yesterday. Their armor was all dark colors, all black. And there's a lot of detail in it, but you lose that because it's all the same dark color. That's when weathering can really help out. And you don't need to make it look beat up and dirty. You just have to add contrast. So that may mean taking a little bit of like silver or lighter color and doing some edge weathering on your armor.
Yeah, some highlights.
Yeah, highlighting the edges that you want to stand out a little bit. And again, just running a Sharpie along the edge, a silver Sharpie, just a little bit along the edges will be enough to sell that. Also, if you're going to add dirt and grime to it, and it's all dark, instead of just using dark weathering paints like acrylic paints, you could use like yellows or like whites or off-white colors to collect a little bit of lighter grime in those crevices that'll help them stand out a little bit more.
I really like the weathering you did on your Shaxx armor because you didn't just highlight the edges with a silver Sharpie. You took a crummy chip brush.
Yeah.
And he took some silver paint, put it on a brush that had really like noticeable bristle streaks, and would brush it on in directions that would make it look like scrapes.
Yeah. Like scratches and scrapes with a really old brush.
Yeah, and it was a quick method to do that. Instead of trying to do like one scrape at a time, you just like...
I would put just a little bit of paint on the brush, and I'd usually wipe a bunch of it off, and then I'd just go like just hit it a whole bunch of times.
Almost like a dry brush. You had so
it was dry brushing.
Yeah.
But like little areas, like right here, is just a little bit of edge weathering. Oh, you can almost kind of see right there, but it helps set it apart. Or like this area right here, this part's kind of dark, that part's kind of dark, but this edge has a little bit of a highlight to it. And again, that's all to add contrast and visual interest and depth to your piece.
Yeah.
Cool. That is it. Let's check in. We've got an hour of that's about an hour of printing right there. It's still going, which is great.
Should we show them a picture at least?
Yeah, we'll show you guys what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they were it's
ta-da! It's gonna be a Skyrim bottle. Hooray!
Yeah, it's the tiniest little like lesser health potions from the video game Skyrim.
Yeah, so that's that guy right there.
Because you need one of those in your life.
You do. We figured as far as doing tests and stuff, it was a fairly simple model. I modeled it in about 10 minutes. So it'll be a cool sort of thing to play with. So that's that. That's that for you. Thank you, everyone, for showing up and bringing your amazing questions. You guys are awesome. If you're looking for more from us, we always have everything going on punishedprops.com. We haven't done this in a while. We have our Patreon, and we have so many of you guys who are so generously contributing to the show, help making it better. You guys are awesome. Every week, the show and the show notes and everything get sent out to our wonderful patrons, and you guys are great. So if you are new to the show and you're looking for a way to help out, consider throwing a $1 here or there at the show over at patreon.com/punishedprops.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and we will be back again next week for sure. I won't be in a different continent or anything. We'll have it normal time, Thursday at 5 p.m. next week. So look forward to that. And until then, go out there and make stuff, guys. Bye.
And try not to cut yourself.
Measure twice. Try not to cut yourself.